Hare Krishna. So today's topic is about why Bhagavad Gita. So like in the previous video, we talked about knowledge and knowledge coming from Bhagavad Gita. So why Bhagavad Gita at all? So let's start with a simple question. What is our goal in life? If there has to be a one-word answer to this, it's going to be happiness, right? You go and ask anywhere in the world to anyone, this is going to be the answer. Everybody wants happiness. Now, what is the path to be happy? To be really happy? Is it buying clothes? Is it visiting places? Is it going to malls, eating out at restaurants, smoking, drinking? Are any of these going to give us happiness? Well, not really. These activities might give us some happiness, but that happiness is going to be very temporary, short-lived. Now, let's take the example of someone in a desert. Right now, obviously, he's thirsty, he wants water. Now, if suppose somebody gives him a drop of water, is it going to satisfy him? Not really. Happiness derived from these activities that we just mentioned are just like the drop of water in the desert. We're not going to be satisfied. And there was a Pepsi advertisement which said, "Ye dil mange more." So we want more. We're not satisfied. Now that's one aspect. Now let's look around. What's the reality? The reality is that actually people are far from happiness. They are suffering with so many problems. People are under stress, tension, suffering from chronic diseases like BP, diabetes. Parents are struggling to bring up their children in the right ways. Children are stubborn. They don't want to listen to their parents. Relationship between husband and wife strained. Young people have addictions, do not respect elders, have bad company, and so on and on and on. The list can go on, isn't it? So we don't see people really happy. What could be the reason for this? Now, there could be many reasons, but we can summarize these into two. The first one being what we call as impurities in the heart. So Krishna talks about this. Like kama means desires, krodha, anger, lobha is excess greed, and so on. And the second one is lack of true knowledge. Now, what is this true knowledge? Where can we find this true knowledge? How can we get rid of these impurities that we talked about? Now, the answer lies in the timeless wisdom of Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is actually called Manual for Human Life. It teaches us how to be happy. And because this knowledge is given by Lord Krishna, it is the topmost knowledge. Now, let's think about this further. What is a manual? Let's go back to those days when the first smartphones were released. Now, before that, we used to have this, what we call tick-tick phone, the keypad phone. Now, first time a smartphone came, obviously we didn't know how to use it. So the manufacturer, along with the phone, gave us a manual. And the manual was actually intended to help us understand how to use the phone. Now, in case we don't have a manual, we could have the best, most expensive device. But if you don't know how to use it, then what's the use of it? It's futile. So, Krishna, one of the first lessons Krishna speaks in Bhagavad Gita is that we are not this body. We are the soul in this body. And the body is just a vehicle or a device. And this vehicle, we need to know how to use this device. And the manual to know how to use this device is Bhagavad Gita. Now, without knowing that, we cannot be happy. So, let's hear a short story. Once upon a time, there was a king. One day, he brought a very beautiful, very expensive cage. And then in the cage was a small bird, very rare, beautiful feathers, beautiful colored bird. And then he comes, gives this cage to his servants and says, keep this in good shape. Now, obviously, the servants did not completely understand the instruction of the king, and they thought that the king was talking about keeping the cage in good condition. So what they did was they went to the market, got all the things that they would need possibly to keep the cage in the best possible condition, and they were rubbing and rubbing and rubbing every day, keeping that really better, much better than what actually it was when the king had given it to them. Now, after about 10 days, the king comes back and asks them to show the cage, to bring the cage. And they're all very super excited because they think now they've done a fabulous job about maintaining that cage and the king is going to really reward them. And they get the cage, and as soon as the king sees the cage, actually his attention goes to the bird, and there was no bird in the cage. And he asks his servant, saying that, what happened to the bird? And the servants ask him, "Oh king, what bird are you talking about?" The king said, "The bird which was there in the cage, which was what I gave you to and told you to take care." Oh, the servant said, "King, we thought that you were concerned about the cage and not the bird." The bird died. And the king actually chastises them, saying that we can get hundreds of such cages, but you're not going to be able to get that rare bird again. So what can we learn from this analogy? The cage is this body, and the bird in that cage is the soul. And like those servants did, we are also relentlessly, we are trying to take care of the cage of the body, right? And we're trying to give it all the required comforts. But the bird in the body, cage of the body, which is the soul, is something that we just ignored. We actually even don't know what this bird in the cage actually is, right? And that's the soul. And the soul is the most important part of this body. But we are choosing to neglect it over the body. Also, one more concept Krishna talks about in Bhagavad Gita is about karma. It's called action. And every action has a reaction. A good action results in a good result, a bad action results in a bad result. But we really don't know what is good, what is bad, and we are living life. Now, obviously, which means that it will result in some reactions which are not going to be very pleasant. So like this, Bhagavad Gita gives us so many sutras to find happiness in life. Unfortunately, people think that one should read Bhagavad Gita when one is old. But I ask the question saying that, don't young people want to be happy? Of course they want to. So the answer is that everyone needs to read Bhagavad Gita, the manual for human life. Bhagavad Gita also answers various other questions like, why is there so much suffering in the world? What is the art of doing work? How does one actually do work? What is the mind? How does the mind trouble us? How can we control the mind? $1,000,000 question. What is death? How should one deal with death? Is there rebirth? What will my next life look like? Value of tolerance. Are we independent or are we controlled? How to overcome anxiety, and so on and so on and so forth. So through very short videos, we will try to explain these truths and many more. Also, we will introduce you soon to certain practices that will help control your mind and subsequently give you happiness. What more is required? Till next time, Hare Krishna.